Alright, welcome back everybody for part 2 of the 1951 Ford sedan front custom front fascia, I guess you want to call it. So what I have here now is I got everything, all my tacks grounded down, made sure all my 3/16 round stock, everything's welded all in the corners and on the backs and everything. Got all of the supports done, uppers and lowers. So I have this paper here that's masking paper, and what I like to do is I like to save the leftover. You know, I've done it for years, and I got a nice little stack of it. So if you ever need to like prime something real quick or anything, you got easy access to a whole bunch of leftover pieces of masking paper instead of just throwing the stuff out. So what I want to do here now is I rip myself a good piece of paper here, and I'm gonna make a template for my metal that's gonna go here and the metal that's gonna go here. I'm gonna do just two separate templates, and I'm gonna tape it together. So here we go. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take tape. I'm going to lay my paper just like I want to lay my metal, and I'm going to tape it in place. So now that we got the upper in place, now we can see the silhouette of the bottom portion. I'm going to wrap that around and take that real quick. Alright, now see, the good thing about using this paper is that you can flex this to show and dictate what your metal is going to represent. What we have here is we got a nice dish going on. We have this bar right here that shows us how far we can actually go in. And we have a lower. So what we're going to do is we're going to start taking our fingernails and our fingers to start grooving that paper where you think you want that metal to be. Then once you think you like what you see, you could either, if you have a good eyeball, you could just take a pair of scissors or razor, cut that real quick, make your template. I like to just mark it out real easy, or if you got, if you've been in the shop for a while, you can just take your dirty hand and just use that as a marker. But it's always good to leave yourself a little bit, because you can always take metal off. So I'll mark this so I know where I want to cut this piece of paper, and then we'll cut it and we'll check. So I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. I'm going to leave my line there. Alright. Now that we've got that, we're only going to come up to, I believe, right here, because we might do some other type of metal fabrication here where we roll the lip down, and it's going to be a couple cuts and everything for that piece. But for here, this is good. So we'll cut this so far, and we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. trimmed up too. So we'll do some trimming and stuff in a little bit. A little more trimming before we make the metal template, so then you're closer. Alright. So now I know that we're not gonna go up to in this area. So I'm gonna cut our piece right after this inner structure here. So let's say right by here is where I'm gonna give it a cut. Alright, now that we got a rough template going, now we do the other side. Same way. Got this extra structure that I could probably utilize. Let's see. Yeah. Alright. So I'll grab some more tape. Couple pieces going. Okay. So I'm going to use the straight edge of this paper on top. Same spot as the other side. Fold that in for now. Okay. I'll put one more piece just for good measure in the center there. Alright. Now we do the same thing again with the fingernail or your finger. Get that mark going. See, I can see that that's a perfect line there, so I could just cut that without even making a mark. Then we're going to go up to here. There we go. Just about. Now, put a couple more pieces of tape. Exactly where you think you want your metal to sit. And then there's the two templates. So now you got your two templates. You tape down the center here, and you mark exactly where you want your metal to butt up. Because we're not going to lap. We're just going to do a butt weld instead of lap weld. Put your tape. Now is the time when you're doing your template. If say you're short on a spot, you could take some tape, put it where you're short, and then cut your tape down to make sure that you know what you're cutting when you're doing the cutting on the metal and marking out for your cut. So this all looks good. I remember this over here, this was that's pretty good. This got a little extra on the bottom, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. We could always shave that when we're bending it into place, so no big deal. So now I'm going to take my my marker and I'm going to mark down the center of our template, and this is going to be one side and then you'll have your other. So you make this piece, then you make this piece, and you'll butt them up and you'll weld, and then you weld here and you weld here, here, and here, and then on the back side where you have your inner structure, you could always do a couple tack welds here and there. So what we'll do now is we are going to cut the template with a razor blade, and we'll start making our metal. Let me grab a razor blade real quick, put on some music. Yeah. That might be loud. Alright. Razor here. Okay. Let's cut this down the center. Oh yeah. Alright. Now, good thing to do just so you don't get messed up is, let's say this is just the left side because we're looking at it, so just put it left, and then this one will be the right side so you don't get messed up. And then we're going to cut out our template. Well, really we don't have to cut it, we just take it where the tape is, untape it. Sometimes this tape don't want to come off, that's what. Now that we got this piece, now what you'll do is you'll take this piece, and because you got tape on it, we'll take our piece of metal, find the straight line because we know it's straight up top, put that baby up there, make sure you're lined up where you want to be, and then take your tape, take that baby. See, now we're short over here, so I gotta take this off up here and move it back. Okay, you can always move it around. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. Mark it out with the marker. now that you're marked out with the marker on the piece of metal. You don't need that anymore. Now you mark this one left. Alright, now you got it marked out. Now, make sure your metal's straight. This ain't very straight, but that's okay. It's not bad. So we're gonna take this metal cutter here. I'm gonna plug this metal cutter in. I'm gonna cut this piece of metal out, and then we're gonna form it. This is an Eastwood cutter. I've had it for probably 5 years, 5 or 6 years now. It's done a pretty good job. Not bad. This head occasionally comes off. I'll have to make some adjustments and try to see if I can't fix this up a little bit. I'm sure I could bring it to the company and they'll fix it for free. But for now, she's holding in there. So here we go. I'm gonna leave the line that I made on the metal, so I'm gonna cut on the opposite side of the line so you still see the marks that I made on the metal. That's our first piece on the left. So that's where that'll go. So now that we have that, we'll put this to the side, and I'm going to make this one now. So if you cut off all your tape on top, just make sure you got some tape ready, so then you don't gotta fool around and all that. Alright. Take the top off. Let's give this a little cut because we know we don't want the back. Now the tape is cut off, all you gotta do is put 2 pieces where you'll be able to hold the whole template down. Make sure you try to find your straightest line here. Alright, now stick your template down. Take your marker, mark it out. up a little more. Right side. Now we'll cut this out. Same thing on the other side. Alright. Now you can see I left most of the line. And I just made sure, I was cutting as straight as I could. And so now this is the left. And now we got the right. So now we're going to bend these up and we're going to put these into place. So I'm going to start with the left one first. And we're going to start bending this. Here we go. So I can see that it's got tension on this point where my pinky is, and it's got tension on that point. And we're freewheeling on both of these points. So I'm going to mark on this panel where I want my curve to be. So we're going to put this where we want it on top. And same thing, center it up where you know you want it, where it's going to sit after we're done. So now that we have that, make sure it stays in place, of course. So, get that back in place. So roughly it's in place right now. If I bend that baby down, you'll see she's going to want to start to go in place. But we want more than that. We want a concave surface, and we want all of this concave surface to line up correctly. So you got a really nice shadow on it. And so we're gonna give this a nice mark. So we know exactly where we want our metal to sit. So we start here, and I'm going to start giving this some pressure. Now you can English wheel this, but it'll start distorting, and you can work on the panel and do it real nice. But I want to show you that you don't really need many tools to get most shapes. You just have to be patient and know what you want that metal to look like, and you can slowly start working on that metal and getting that metal where you want it. And you could always bend it over your knee a little bit, give it a little body English, So if you can see, we're already have a concave surface. Okay. There she is. Now I want more. So check your inner structure, see what you can have, and you just keep working this metal to get the proper shape that you want. This is how I used to do it back in the day. First couple builds, I just would find anything that matches the surface of what I was trying to do. I'd use anything that I could bash a hammer on, whatever works to make that curve you're looking for. You can use the ground, the leverage on the ground. That gives you great leverage. As long as everything's straight and you're not warping nothing and everything's looking even, that's what counts. Okay, now she's almost, so now she's wanting to sit real nice and flush back here, but she's way out up here. So what we'll do, we'll just flex this panel, like so. See, just flexing it. So now, she sits real nice and flush, almost everywhere. And now if you give it even more, which is what it wants, so and you just keep working it like that. Keep going until you really like it, and then shave where you need to, but make sure you don't shave too much to where the effect of the metal goes away. When I grind this up, you'll see exactly how it's going to look. So what I notice here is I want a little more curve throughout this bottom. So I'm going to give it some curve. Just going to take it, put it on the ground, see what I can hit. But that's not going to work, so you could even get a hammer going, you could do whatever you think you can use to get your metal where you want it to be. Straightness, you'll be able to see where it still needs a little. Just like that. Now you don't even have the wheel marks or anything from the English wheel either. So it makes for a really simple job. So now that we have that, what we can do one of two things. We could clamp it in place, then take away the metal that we don't need. We could weld it in place, tack it a couple places. We can put magnets, we can clamp it, we can do a lot of things. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mark it out. I'm not gonna use anything. I'm gonna put it up to where I want it. Make sure you're exactly where you want the piece to be. Give it some pressure if you want, if you can. Let's say right there is going to be where we want it to be. So, that in place. Much. Now you'll see where we're at on the back, what we need to take off. The same thing here. So instead of taking these scissors, and if you notice when you cut it, it's going to make a little bit of a bevel that you're going to have to work out. But if you're on a surface like this where we're going to be welding right where these meet, not a big deal, because we're going to clamp it all down and it'll melt into a weld. So got some tape stuck here. So what I'll do now is I'm gonna grind this back where I want it. And then we'll do the same thing to this side, but we'll get this side tacked, and then we'll do the same thing over here. Just tape it off. Right on. Okay. So I will plug my grinder in. Make sure this is out of the way so metal bits do not get into the electrical. You know, I try to make sure that no debris gets in there and blow them out every once in a while, because there's a lot of plastic components that I can see in there. So we'll put that off to the side, and we will commence grinding. Make sure, again, you know, when you guys are grinding, watch out for those safety glasses. That's why I like wearing these goggles, because I used to wear the safety glass and somehow metal would just keep getting inside. So here we go. we have that ground real nice and straight, you know. So we'll check fitment just to make sure we're on the right track. So here we are here. Okay, now I'll show everybody a trick. This is how you make a little more, you know, kind of quicker progress. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to weld it. I'm going to tack it where I want it to be, and then where this top lip is, where I still need to cut, what I'm going to do is all I have to do now is just grind it back a little. So let me give this a little more here, because this might work as well. Take up some of that leftover space there. All right. Yeah, I think we can away with that. Sometimes you can't get away with it, but this time you can. So we'll utilize that. All right. Found some more tape over here. Get it off the metal so it just don't burn off. Try to get all your paper and everything that you're using away from anything so you don't start creating a fire. Alright. Take these off. What we're going to do it here now is we're going to tack it on the corners. Gas is on, everything's ready. Alright. We're going to put it where we want it. We know that our bottom's ready to go, lined up, ready to be welded. Now we just have to worry about making sure we have enough space for both pieces of metal to join up in the middle. Find our perfect point here. Okay, now, make sure you still like it. Down a little more. Alright. There we go. Okay, I'm going to give this a tack. Sometimes you got to tack it without having your helmet on. Just don't look at it. Now that that's in place, giving her some tension, and we're going to tack this in place now. That ought to do. Okay, now bring it down. And I think a good time right now would be to, I'll get my welding helmet on. Going. I might get some right here, so we're gonna give this a tack up here. Alright, and we're meeting up here so we can tack here too. Give it 2 tacks. There. Now we'll give this one another tack down here, and we'll give it a one right in the middle. We'll have to grind that down when we put our another piece in there. So we got one side, and you can see the reflection of the light, how we got that profile going. And once we put this down, it'll give us even a better profile. So gotta make sure you don't distort anything. So just slowly work it into place. And if you even have to, you know, undo the curve a little, that's okay. Alright. It's all about massaging her into place. You know, I want a little more curve on the bottom here. So I'm going to give it a little more curve. And an easy way to do that, take this, work that metal right there. There we go. I'll just make sure that that metal's still straight on the bottom. That's good. Keep on giving her some body English, and she'll slowly work herself right into where she needs to be. Let's get over here. So now that we're pretty much well in place, we're gonna leave this, and we're gonna give this a grind, so then we can weld all up on top here. And once this starts creating the heat from the weld, this is gonna make that more pliable to go into space, into where we need it to go, into its proper area. And the same thing here, we're gonna come down here and grind this a little more as well, so it'll heat that up and it'll go more into where it wants to be. Alright, now I'm going to do a little on the bottom. Do that for now. And then we'll do a series of tacks. And then we'll work our way onto the bottom. Now when I'm doing this, I'm holding it to see where the metal wants to flex. So then I could give that attention first. So right here it wants to flex. So I'm just going to give that a little pressure as I weld. I'm going to start there. Okay. There we have it. Now when this is hot, we can just bend this in and then give this a tack. But I still want to grind this back some more. But here looks good, so we can give it a, we won't worry about it right now. We're gonna give this a little more. Check this real quick. I'm gonna get a clamp. Clamp this. Then I don't have to hold it and I can just weld the whole bottom. And we just need to keep that pressure that it wants. I'm trying to do it without hurting the panel too much. But it's okay. Work for a little bit. So we can hold that and we'll start traveling down. I think. No, I kind of want to get that better. See if we can't piece of metal over it, then we're not damaging the metal that we're using. Can't get clamped. We'll just do it by hand. I ain't worried about clamping. Then you get the metal all messed up, you know? Alright. So, we give it a tack right here. Got another one. Here. pressure. One side is tacked in place. Now we just got to do the same thing to the other side. And then once they're both tacked into place, then you just continue welding it, or you can just continue on, do the whole area, then start tacking everything in. We might go section by section, weld it in, make it look nice, then go on to the next as we go out. So then we don't have to feel overwhelmed and do it all at once, but it really don't matter because it's going to all get done anyway. So whatever you feel that you need to tell your brain to get through it. That's what I always figured. So I'm going to turn my welder off, and we'll make that other side now. Had to give that a little bit. Alright. So I'm going to turn this welder off. We'll do this other side. And we'll see where we're at on time. Yeah, 54. Well, we got one side done. How about we, I'll grind it up a little bit so then we can see the kind of the finished product here. There. There you have it. So after we get off the camera here, I'll either go on to part 3, or I'll just continue on doing some more of this metal shaping here, because this is pretty much all it is. So we started with this, and we got our paper template from our leftover paper. Cut it on our metal, cut the metal out, make sure that we left some metal just in case, because we are, making that concave shape, and you have to think about the quench. Quench of the metal is pretty much whenever metal goes around a round surface, it has to go around the diameter of the surface, just like a flat surface would be. And what a lot of people do when they cut metal is they don't think of the quench portion of, you know, what they're building. So this has a recess, so it's going to have more metal needed to make that round curve. And plus, you can still build a really bitchin' car without, you know, a lot of tools. So I started out just doing this by hand and knee. The 53 Buick, that was all done by hand and knee, and finding like you know, any type of metal that has the right circumference or anything that I was looking for, and using that. So it's whatever it takes to get it done. So I want to take this tack right here that we did in the middle, and I want to get rid of this, and I want to make sure all this is clean, so when we butt up our next piece of our right side, it'll match up. That won't be in the way, it won't interfere. Now, we'll take this. Now, it's a lot easier to grind it right now than it would be if you put it on and then tried to grind it like I did. So another thing you can do, if you don't mind all the reflecting back at you, you could grind this first and then start messing with it and tweaking on it, but I usually don't do that, so we're not going to start now. So now what we'll do here is we're going to line up our metal where we think we want it. We're going to give it a little bit of bend where we know that we want it to be inverted. You could use your inner structure for guidance. You can use that to bend, as long as your inner structure is supported, you know. You gotta make sure you stay in the right place. So now that we know that we want our metal in the middle here, we're just gonna start bending this baby where we know we want it. And remember, gradually do it. Don't try to just, you know, force the metal, because it's a lot harder trying to fix it than it is to just take the time to bend it. You know, I use my thigh a lot, my knee, whatever works. But like I said, you know, I got that English wheel over there, and I do use it often, but I wanted to show everybody that you don't need an English wheel to get curve. You just need some muscle and a little patience. You got to try to remember what you did on the other one, because you want this piece to look exactly like the other. Like that, like that. That looks good. You don't want to give it too much. But even if you give it too much, you could always put it on the ground and it'll straighten itself out again. So this just takes a lot of body English Take your time, you know, if you start to get sore, take a break, come back to it. You know, do something else for a little bit, do a little tacking or something. So then we could even take our metal. I already know from seeing how curved I did this one, the more I do it, the quicker and faster I'll get at doing all this. You know, I don't do this all the time here with the sculpting, this is like the funnest part of the whole thing. So I know I don't want this totally encaved, because that's not how this one is. So we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of a lot of that. And you can even take this and put it up to the other one, and you can really find out your dimensions again. So just like this one wants to do the same thing. If we line up this, it wants to go all the way out. So we're gonna give this a little English here. We're gonna give this a body English. Just make sure you're doing it slowly and gradually, because you can kink the metal, and that's not what we want to do. We just want to give it a little something here, so she sits flush, flat. She still wants a little more, so we'll give it to it, you know. All right, there it is. That's pretty much it. We could get more out of her though, so we're gonna make sure that it's as easy as possible to get into place, so you don't have too much strain going on anywhere. But a little tautness is good, because it keeps everything taut and kind of, I don't know, in a way it gives it more structural integrity by that, having that little extra. Okay, so we're going to give this a little more on the bottom and see if that helps. Okay, I bent that in a little too much, but it can always be fixed. We'll see how it looks. Yeah, there, that's really nice. That's like almost ready to be welded in, you know. Very nice. Alright, well, welded in, is it that easy, you know? Come on. No. I want to make sure that we're not going off track here. We want to make sure that we got the same profile on both sides. So I'm just checking my profile right now to make sure that we have the same profile on both sides. Same thing going on. Alright. See, that just wants to fall right into place. And it has full tension, which is good. We want that. Alright. Well, I guess we're ready to do a couple tacks, and then I'll do just like we did on this side. I'll grind down our access, and once we have our access grinded down, then we'll tack in the rest. So, I mean, I can do some now, but you know, what's the point? You can do it while it's on it. Makes it easier instead of holding it. We'll turn our welder back on here. Get this tacked into place. Try to get all the leftover metal that you want to grind off of this. Try to get it to where it's the easiest to grind off. So I noticed that on the top here is going to be my easiest way of doing this, but even saying that, you know, you still got to make sure that you can tack it where you need to so it's sturdy. Because if you try to start grinding this on the structure and it's not sturdy enough, that grinder could catch and it could ruin all your work. So you got to really be careful of that too. Now you get it where you really like it. So I think we're going to be good right about here. There. Make sure you don't move on you. Make sure you still like it. Everything looks good. You can hold it exactly where you want it. Alright, right in the middle is where I'm going to tack. Alright, now let's just tack where she needs to be. Now we can just take a couple things here and there. Give it a couple more tacks where it needs to be. That's tacked into place. And I'm going to tack the top here, right at the corner. Give that some tension. Give it two. There we go. A couple of tacks here and there. Now it's looking good here, so I can give it a tack here. The more tacks you can do, the better, so there's more sturdy in what it all is before you start grinding. Okay, now that that's done, now that we're in place, ready to go, now we can grind this surface to where it meets our round stock here. And then you can continue tacking on top. Then you bring this in. Put this where you want it on the bottom, make sure you do all your grinding and all that. And then just keep going till you're done. But I still want to incorporate these bumperettes here, which are going to go somewhere around here. Somewhere. So that's why I wanted to end it here. I wanted to make sure I know where these are going to go. And I still need to make headlight buckets for the headlights we're going to use. So we're either going to do the singles or we're going to go with duals. And I still don't know. I see a lot of them with duals. I see some of them with singles. I've done a lot of dual quads, but I think I want to go with singles on this because, you know, I do too many dual quads, and I think this one should just, you know, kind of, I think we're going to go with single headlights on this one. I think it'll give it more of a pronounced look. Because you got your 4-eye, and you got your 2-eye. So, it'd be cool to just do one big headlight in the middle and call it a Cyclops, you know, the Cyclops or something. Maybe that'll be a future build one day, who knows. I really love to get really artistic, you know, cartoony with it all, but I don't want to go too cartoony right now because a lot of cars that I see that I end up being able to get my hands on. Like this one was a basket case, and this one was, you know, very, very cheap, which was nice. And it's hard to find them, you know, cheap. But if you're able to, you know, get your hands on aftermarket parts and things like that, it becomes easier instead of trying to revert it, you know, back into stock. So just always gotta, you know, be careful of what build you're building, you know, because you don't want to start cutting up a really pristine car. But it is your car, so you can do whatever you want. All right, you guys, it's going on 1:15 here, so I'm gonna cut this one, and I'll see everybody back in part 3. And we'll continue all this metal fabrication. I still, like I said, have to figure out where I'm going to put those bumperettes. I still got a chrome bumper that I have over here. I'll reveal that at a later time. That's going to need some metal work done so it fits this contour, and then it'll have to be re-chromed at you know, at some point. So yep, I'll see you all in part 3, and I think by then I'll know where all my placement is and if I'm going to go dual or single. Again, thanks again, you guys. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys again in part 3. Have a good night.